Hello and welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic has to do with how individuals approach information, tending to digital parameters may not be so easy for individuals unaware of parameters existing physically prior particular digital parameters. When I mention digital parameters, I'm not referring particularly to what one may do with one's hands, one's digits, though with digital technology in relation to the internet. I feel as though spatial development, which garners much attention for youth, particularly children, though begins to fade somewhat consciously as one ages. I feel spatial development is so important to how one progresses even into adulthood, considering one's malleable brain. Digital parameters may lessen the tension one needs to connect with spatial progressions, spatial development. So I feel as though when individuals are familiar with using a source like the internet on one device, which is offering so much for one to view, as the article mentions, perhaps in one page, for one to consider as is, without a broader understanding of how not only publishing may work, though how design may work with a particular medium. Spatial development in the immediate physical world one lives in may prove extremely valuable for any seeking to use digital parameters. The article mentions newspapers, which is sound because one may easily identify particular sections differentiating between content. One may easily define context. Similarly, with a medium like a television show, one may easily identify when a show ends and an advert begins. I feel as though the context physically need parameters that allow for one to be physically engaging with difference, ideally. So when the article talks about digital parameters, I think of how the digital parameters are able for use in myriad ways, are available for use in myriad ways, an individual is able to use the digital parameters in myriad ways, though may better understand how to use the digital parameters. A question arises when thinking of the article. If one is completely unaware of how to navigate research information online, how is one navigating research information offline? The balances of learning require one to be able to deliberate between contexts, to deliberate between concepts, to bring together one's opinion from research, from educating oneself. How does one deliberate properly? The conversation leads to critical thinking. How does one assess critically if one is not aware of how to critically analyze information? Where do practices of critically engaging begin? I feel as though engaging with digital parameters is a flexible option as one matures, as one grows to find direction in one's life. Even so, if one is in an educational environment having to engage with digital parameters, then being able to navigate tools and resources helps when an individual is aware of the bigger picture of tools and resources that are similar, though are not law. Meaning one does not have to use a particular form of technology for the rest of one's life. Though one may acknowledge the tool and or resource as a method, as a medium. Being able to deliberate between context and concepts differing, even when similar, may prove extremely valuable to individuals. Even considering exploring a physical encyclopedia, a physical dictionary, comparatively with an online dictionary, an online encyclopedia, may prove valuable in allowing individuals to engage with physical parameters, as well as be a good way to discuss how information may vary from a particular type of dictionary or from a particular type of encyclopedia. So much information is present within those two types of sources that being able to navigate between context and concepts may easily happen, and teaching deliberation from such a perspective, operating one's own deliberative skills in such a way may allow one to find better grasp of context and concepts differing, whether laterally or shifting between mediums, however that may be. Our next topic is about teaching parameters. I feel as though understanding how individuals have different needs is very sound. Understanding how a classroom may have different needs is very sound. Understanding an educational environment is engaging with human beings is very sound with bolstering educational criterion, which arguably continues to expand due to influxes external to an educational environment that an educational environment may have to navigate. And considering how an educational environment navigates is a great part of understanding how teaching parameters are to expand, are to be flexible, are to progress. As an educational environment may be operating in tune with many different entities, every entity may not have a similar view of understanding needs, of approaching needs from wherever the entities are observing from. In the article, the method I appreciate, which I find extremely sound with educating, is offering avenues for groups to work and progress through the teaching, and having such an avenue in a class allows for hyper-intensive focusing, hyper-intensive tutoring more so within an educational environment, particularly within a classroom, especially with 2 or more individuals present to assist. I find multiple entities working together to be sound, especially when embracing the learning together. And I find individuals that may need guidance with understanding how to proceed with such a method in an educational environment within a classroom may find value in recognizing how collaborative operating by an educational criterion, which is always expanding in a good educational environment, may be, especially because one need not work alone if an avenue of collaboration is available. Another side of being in education is being able to work with different individuals. The individuals for an educator likely will be of a student base, more so than of a non-student base. What happens within the learning, educational environments that understand the student-educator relationship acknowledge how broadly diverse and flexible an education may need to be. Whereas the article mentions a somewhat industrial prototype to examine in light of every individual needing difference, having such an awareness builds individuals in whole, well-rounding ways. Bringing an understanding of engaging with the human being is very sound. An individual able to navigate well with individuals in an educational environment as responsible as a teacher, as a good human being needs to be to ensure individuals are growing well, then all is sound with an educational criterion. So long as individuals are safe, learning well, and progressing without unnecessary disruption, well to be effective and functional, healthy human beings in the broader world outside of an educational atmosphere, then an educational environment is likely on a path of good, on a path of well-educating individuals. Entities that do not operate by such an understanding of the educational criterion may find conflict in attempting to navigate what is to be for an educational environment. When such a situation arises, educational parameters that connect with an educator particularly may come to the forefront of a conversation about what needs may an educational environment provide for an educator, what needs does an educator have. When every educational environment and or educator may have a different need. If any viewing right now are aware of how different an educational environment may be from another, then one may understand needs may vary extremely. An educator in a home style facility may have a need for an air conditioner that does not use a lot of electricity, whereas an educator in a high school may need a curriculum coach that may only be necessary because of a shift in an educational environment's parameters, whether expanding, receiving an update, or reverting to a prior curriculum. Where an educational environment for middle school may have educators in need of heating systems because the heating systems are affecting the educational environment. Needs may vary so much, so one might wonder, what does any of that have to do with teaching individuals? The educational criterion, if one is observing how to connect with another human being, will be apparent in one's mind, will be a part of a flexible form for one to acknowledge if an environment is so, individuals may be so. If an environment is so, might this be a disruption to the learning process? Or might this be a health situation in the long run? Of course, an educator, varying across all levels, will have a different need and or wants. All of which, hopefully, connects with how individuals learning are going to be learning effectively toward being efficient, functional, well-rounding, wholesome individuals beyond academia, at least outside of academia. Even considering an educator may want individuals learning to be successful through academia. So, how does one approach being a good person if one is already able to teach materials? How is one able to acknowledge the variances of teaching in a collaborative capacity in a way that shows one is aware of how good collaboration may be valuable? Again, due to so many varying entities being a part of an educational environment, one may do what is sound with an educational criterion, and one may learn from other successful educational parameters of how to engage if one is attempting to better understand how to navigate a classroom, though more so how to better connect with the human beings in an educational environment, particularly individuals learning that an educator is to be educating, to be interacting with on a daily basis, more or less. Of course, a familiar adage arises when thinking of such parameters. Credit to being an African proverb about a village being necessary to raise a child. A lot of educational environments are very different and operate very differently and have varying levels of success. The varying levels of success arise from varying parts. Education is a great avenue for individuals to embrace the broadness, the complexities, the simplicities, the malleability of the ever-changing, interdependent reality at large. And considering so through an educational criterion will allow individuals to better recognize the human the humanity, the interdependent reality at large when embracing, bolstering an educational environment. All right, it's time for Origami. Now what we're going to do first in making our origami penguin is we're going to fold point to point from a square paper. So again, just fold point to point. And after folding point to point, on the inside, you'll see our cross. And we're just going to fold this paper up, so about a third of the way. Okay. After we fold this paper up this third of the way, we're just gonna take the paper down and fold it the other rest of the way. Next, we're gonna fold this paper, they're gonna overlap. Okay, so we're gonna fold it back. You can see we're folding one side back, and we're folding another side back. Okay, try to make it as even as possible. You really just don't want it to be, how I say, uneven. So you can follow the points here. So as you see, where we have these points from this initial fold, we just fold it in, fold it in. And what we're gonna do next is, we're just gonna fold out the next part. And you can follow again the points to match the points. So I'll show you on the back here. You can just take this portion. There's a point here, but you see this point here? Just match it here. We'll have 2 points matching. And then voila. We come here. And, well, now we have our penguin. The other thing is, though, you don't actually have to bring the other arrow down. Then you'll have this portion. Now what we can do is we can just draw in some design. Okay. To make our penguin a little bit more stand out. You know, we want to have a nice little penguin here. All right, we want to have a penguin that suits your creative desires. Get a little bit of a blush here, and then, of course, if you feel like this penguin could use a mouthpiece, then just give this penguin like a little bit of a smile there. And there we have it, folks. We have our origami penguin saying hello. Give your penguin a name if you like. For individuals that want to be more in touch with, I don't know, we can talk about it. Join the forums. If you're unaware of how to, well, please take a moment and watch the video to understand how you may be able to contribute to, I don't know, we can talk about it via the forums of Piaget.
Hello, welcome to I don't know, we can talk about it intermission point for www.piatures.com. Welcome to Piatures, where expression, the choice to express in the public sphere, is to bear in the wild your choice responsibilities, where beyond anyone and anywhere else you will encounter yourself. Aside from Piatures, music, books I've read, publications, merchandise, and of course the About page, the forum of Piatures works in tandem with I don't know, we can talk about it. So I encourage you to stay up to date via the YouTube channel, the podcast, or use the forums to be an active participant in future discussions or other discussions. I hope we can continue to grow together. Onward and Upward. Kevin Dufresne.
Welcome back to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. I really appreciate reading physical books because of the benefits of spatial development, and because I just enjoy reading physical books. Our book today we're going to discuss, we're talking about bees and thunder. It's a really good book about being a musician, being an artist, through lenses particularly of pianists, though one may find a broader connection from these pianists to the realms of orchestra, the realms of competition, of entities from different countries is so gripping. The family dynamics that play into these artists, the emotional dynamics that play into these performances, the economic circumstances that become apparent. Though one may deliberate between each of these concepts, each of these contexts, to find what builds character. These individuals are not of the same age. These individuals are different ages, and everyone has an offering. Everyone has a performance. Everyone has an experience. And I appreciate how the text varies so well between the contexts of characters and engages the audience with the entertainment of competition, with an appreciation of artistic endeavors. I really find the text does a wonderful job of plotting the characters together, the stories together, in a way that holds what elements are in connection with music and with an artist so well, in contention with ideas that may not be so readily apparent to any unaware of such realms. Thanks for joining. I don't know, we can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Dufresne.